Everybody, you are all very welcome to this forum called Refugees and Resettlement, a Local Perspective. My name is Maura Kelly. I am a Plymouth resident and a U.S. immigration attorney. I wanted to thank you all for coming out this evening. I'll be your moderator for tonight. I'd like to thank our sponsors and hosts for this evening, the League of Women Voters for the Plymouth area and Plymouth No Place for Hate Committee. The aim of this forum is to inform Plymouth area residents about the formal programs that are facilitating refugee resettlement and immigration to our community. Panelists will provide an overview of governmental programs in Massachusetts with the focus on the greater Plymouth area, as well as personal experiences of the different immigration programs for asylum seekers, evacuees, and refugees. Information will be available about local resettlement efforts and how to get involved. We have 5 speakers this evening. After the speakers are done, we'll have time for questions and answers, so we respectfully ask that you wait until the end if you have a question, okay? And just to explain, we're being televised, so we should thank PAC TV for being here as well. And hello to everybody at home. So if you have a question at the end, what we will do is have you go to the microphones at the far end of the room so people at home can hear your question, okay? So our first speaker tonight is Mary Truong. And if you all wouldn't mind giving a warm welcome, actually, to the 5 panelists. So Mary was appointed Commissioner and the Executive Director of the Commonwealth's Office for Refugees and Immigrants by Charlie Baker in May of 2015. Before joining the Office of Refugees and Immigrants, Mary served as the Director of External Relations and Patient Relations at the Dorchester House Community Center. Previously, she was Vice President of Corporate Community Development for Fleet Bank of America for 10 years. She served on many boards, including the Boston Human Rights Commission, Habitat for Humanity Greater Boston, UMass Boston Asian American Institute, the Kearney Hospital, and the Dorchester Board of Trade. Mary came to the United States as a Vietnamese refugee with her family in 1975. Now, Mary, thank you.
Oh, good evening. Can you all hear me? Okay. First and foremost, it is my honor to be here, and I'd like to thank to Sarah Sibley and the members of the League of Women Voters for giving me this honor to be here and to be in front of your present. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity and the time to share with you about the work that we do at Massachusetts Office for Refugees and Immigrants. And so I would like you to look at the slide while I'm talking about it. So in case if I'm not clear, you could see the information up there. So I would like to give you an overview of ORI, Office for Refugees and Immigrants, and the population we served, the demographic and service areas, and ORI benefits and services. As you know, ORI's mission is to help promote the full participation of refugees and immigrants as self-sufficient individuals and families in the economic, social, and civic life of the Commonwealth. And we partners with over 40 community partners throughout the state in 4 different regions. And the name, as you could see from the map there, and I hope that you could see it. By the way, do you think it would be better if I stand up? So this way, okay, that's okay? Okay, so these are the community partners that we partner with to provide different services and programs. And the eligible populations are refugees, asylees, Cuban Haitian entrants, human trafficking victims, special immigrant visa holders from Iraq and Afghanistan, Americans, and Afghan humanitarian parolees. I would like to share some refugee arrivals and sealing and the actual information so that you have some ideas going back to, from 2019 to the current 2022. As you could see, the refugee admission ceiling was set by the President and with the approval of the Congress. And if you look at the year 2019, it was 30,000 and we reached 30,000. And then for 2020, it was the ceiling of 18,000 and we closed with 11,814. In year 2021, the ceiling was 62,500. But initially it was 15,000 and it was changed by President Biden. We closed the year with 11,411. And in 2022, you already know that President Biden set the ceiling of 125,000. And so we haven't closed the year yet, so it's to be determined for the final number. So the projected arrival for current fiscal year 2022 for Massachusetts for overseas refugees and SIV is 1,397. And for other eligible individuals is 985, including 717 for Haitian entrants, because we have more Haitian entrants coming to the state. And for Afghan humanitarian parolees, we already have and welcome 1,907, and this is actual as of April 5th. So for nationwide arrival for the fiscal year, as you can see, for refugees is 6,523, and for special immigrant visa holders is 2,420, and for asylees is 6,984, and for Cuban Haitian entrants is 687, and the victim of human trafficking is 769. But for the Afghan humanitarian parolees nationwide is 68,557, and you can see the breakdown there. So on base is currently 108, and already departed is 68,149 as of March 29, 2022. So for Massachusetts, the fiscal year for the arrival, we have the data gathered from our resettlement agency as partners. And so this is the number that they sent to us. And so as of October 1st to February 28, these are the numbers here. So for the refugees from overseas arrivals, we had 178, and for refugee secondary migrant, people who migrate into the state, we have 0. For special immigrant visa holders, we have 19. And Afghan humanitarian parolees as of the end of February is 1,689, but as of April 5th, it would be 1,907. For asylees, it's 7 individuals. For Cuban Haitian entrants is 250, and you can see the breakdown, primary and secondary. So primary is when so they're here, and the secondary is when they migrate to here from other state. So certified victim of trafficking is 3, and that brings to a total of 2,146 individuals. So this is the report that we receive every week from Department of State. So the data as the total already departed to Massachusetts is 1,907. And still on base is 21. So the total would be 1,928. So for resettlement area in fiscal year 2020, because some people are wondering, well, where are they residing in Massachusetts? So we would like to give you a snapshot of where they are in terms of the percentages. So 68% reside in the Eastern Mass area, whereas 8% in Central Mass, and then 24% in Western Mass. Now, talking about the benefit and services that our office provides, Our role is to help supervise and coordinate the administration of services for refugees and immigrants, including many services, but the first on the list would be the welcome kits. As you know, recent newcomers, when they come here, refugees and immigrants, they would be welcomed with the welcome kits during the orientation and cultural period provided by their case manager from the resettlement agency. And in this welcome kits, we have a welcoming letter from the governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary of Health and Human Services. They silently joined the letter to welcome newcomers. And this kit has been translated into 9 refugee languages. So the most recent translation was in Dari and Pashto to welcome the Afghan parolees. Refugees would receive cash assistance for up to 12 months. This has changed from up to 8 months from just a few weeks ago. This was after 30 years that the Federal Office for Refugees and Immigrants Refugee OR Office Refugee Resettlement have changed from 8 months to 12 months, realizing that the cost of living and that they needed more help. So they changed from 8 months to 12 months. So this is a good news for refugees. And we provide case management of up to 5 years, but preference for the first year of arrival. We have a health assessment program, referral to primary behavioral and specialty care. We have youth services, elder services, and community support. So as you can see, that folks receive up to 5 years. We have a state-funded citizenship for the New American program and also financial literacy. The citizenship for the New American, every year we serve over 2,000 refugees and immigrants, helping them with application so that they can apply to become U.S. naturalized. So for financial literacy program, this is the new program that's implemented from 4 or 5 years ago. We wanted to be sure that, this particular program serves everyone, refugee, immigrant, and some U.S. citizens from Puerto Rico when they came here because of the natural disaster. So this program is intended for everyone. Because it's new, we would like to say that it already served 1,202 refugees and immigrants and some U.S. citizens, like I said, Puerto Rican evacuees, and we already conducted 247 workshops in 10 languages and 58 workshop series. So a series, we have 4 topics. We partner with 11 service providers throughout the state. For fiscal year 22, we already provided 49 online workshops, 215 participants, 10 languages, and again contracted with 10 service providers. And this program is going to be expanded. We would like to partner with more nonprofit organizations who are interested. ORI benefit and services in terms of employment. We provide employment services for up to 5 years. And this is what it provides: tailored English learning, vocational skills training, recertification, and job placement and job upgrade. For the Afghan Emergency Assistance Program, let's call AEAP. So the state ARPA bill was signed into law by Governor Beck on December 13 of 2021. And in that bill, $12 million to support resettlement of up to 2,000 Afghan evacuees. So we contracted with 6 refugee resettlement agencies in Massachusetts for that. And the services would include direct assistance, which is 37.5%, and immigration assistance is 37.5%. And this state ARPA, ARPA bill also dedicated $8 million to support up to 1,600 Haitian nationals in the Commonwealth who arrived in the U.S. after qualifying temporary protective status date of July 29, 2021. ORI contracted with the Haitian Resettlement Assistance Program and through an agency called Immigrant Family Services Institute, which is IFSI. HRAP services include direct assistance, which is 55%, and immigration assistance is 20%. Governor Baker signed a $1.67 billion for mid-year spending bills that includes $10 million to support services for refugees and immigrants, not limited to Ukrainian refugees and immigrants, and to obtain a secure immigration status in the United States. So for OI's new services, anytime you would like to partner with us, especially now we're procuring for Refugee School Impact for early education and care program. So you do that by going on Combine to register, but the submission deadline is April 15. And also for Refugee Mental Health Initiative, the activity may include increasing in mental health literacy, coordinating mental health care, and organizing wellness groups. And the last is immigration-related legal assistance to eligible Afghan population through the federal Afghan supplemental assistance funds. And also a federal program, Refugee Support Services, they also assist with housing support. So these are our new ORI services. So that is all, and I look forward to hearing, answering your question. Thank you. I hope I wasn't taking too much time.
No. Thank you, Mary. So next we have Stephen Shrader. Stephen lives in Sagamore Beach. He served in the U.S. Air Force for 26 years. In late 2017, under the tutelage of Catholic Charities, Archdiocese Boston, Stephen formed the Southeast Massachusetts People Organized to Welcome Immigrants and Refugees, the acronym called POWER, the POWER team. Since the summer of 2018, the POWER team has assisted 27 refugees in their resettlement journey in Plymouth and Cape Cod. It sounds like Stephen's been doing a lot of great work in this area, and he's going to tell us all about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the No Place for Hate Committee. And thanks to all of you for coming out tonight to hear what's going on and maybe get involved in the future. I'll let him set up here real quick. I do live in Sagamore Beach, and the Southeast Massachusetts team works from Plymouth all the way down to Hyannis. And so there's a very long way that we shortened to Southeast Massachusetts Power Team. This was a gathering we had in the fall. So who are we? Well, we're just a group of volunteers. We're not a 501c3 or anything like that. Here to help refugees during their resettlement journey. Though overseen by Catholic Charities, it's Catholics, but there's way more Protestant congregations. We have Jewish members, Muslim members, and plenty of non-faith people of goodwill. And we currently are helping 23 immigrants and refugees in the communities listed up there. What's our approach? It's very important to, we are kind of the community, the welcoming community, and the thing is, you can give people things, but as we all know, things don't necessarily bring happiness. Relationships do. I think of it kind of as, You can have too many jackets, but I've really never heard somebody say, I have too many good friends. So we meet them at the airport, and we tell them, we're your friends. And what we want you to know, we are your friends, that you're welcome in this community, and you're loved in this community, and most importantly, we will never let you feel alone. What's the overall goal, kind of the guiding principles as we move through this? We want them to have a life that's safe. Safe meaning no one's going to hurt you. You have enough food to eat. If you get sick, you're going to see a doctor. It's normal. I have a job. I go to work. My kids go to school. They play soccer. I go to church or whatever religious ceremony I want to go to when I want to go to it. And that has dignity. No one can treat you like a lesser human being without consequence. So this is the life that we want them to enjoy independently at the end of this journey. A little about where we fit as a community team, as a power team. It all starts in the upper left. Folks flee their countries from persecution, and they check in with the UN. And the UN looks at them, talks to them, gathers their data, and says, yep, we give you a refugee card. From there, they get referred to various countries, one of them being the US, who starts to look at their security, who starts to look at their medical, eventually interviews them. And Emmanuel was actually a translator in a refugee support center in Africa doing that. Once they clear all those hurdles, they get matched to one of 9 big volunteer agencies in the United States. Catholic Charities through the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is one. There's a Lutheran Immigration Service, Essentia. There's the Hebrew Immigration, it's HIAS, I don't remember the rest of it, but there's 9 of them. And essentially the government contracts with them to manage the case. They actually get paid per head to do that. Where do we fit in then? A caseworker really doesn't have enough time to, he's got lots of cases to give the personal community touch to us. They can help them get a social security number, a work authorization card, maybe show them where the employment office is and so forth, but they can't really give the embrace that somebody needs who's really comes into the country and has no idea about so many things, from where to get food to how to open a bank account, et cetera. And so we work with Catholic Charities. They'll help with managing grant funds and certain things like that, but the team kind of does the rest of the community stuff and stays engaged with the folks. Here's some things that we end up, doing. Certainly you got to find the house from. We do start a supplemental fund to help pay their rents, try to have them paying rent, or most of it, somewhere between 6 months and a year when they're here. Furnish the apartment, welcome them at the airport, provide their basic needs, food, household goods, clothes, et cetera. Transportation becomes a big factor before they can drive. Certainly enrolling the kids in school. English goes on for a long time, us tutoring them in that. Local integration, yeah, we do have fun. I'll show you some stuff about that later. This is what goes on before they get here. We formed a team up. We find the housing. Housing's really hard. What landlord wants to hear? They don't have a credit history. They don't have an address history. They don't have a work history. I don't know their names. And that's kind of the way it goes. And, we've kind of gotten around it now by doing some co-signing and so forth, but it's still really, really hard to find a place for them to live. And you can see the rest of the stuff there. Eventually, we get an arrival notification, could be anywhere from 2-3 weeks. Deco in the back there. We got a little bit of notification on her. On Lath, it was, this was Sunday night. Can you pick him up Tuesday night? So we were able to do that. So this is kind of what apartments look like. These are not, I didn't have pictures of the stuff we've set up, but it's all kind of the same. Furniture and stuff's actually relatively easy to get. Airport arrival, so we want to make them, again, feel welcome and feel like a community is there to give them a big hug. The 2 signs there, the one on the right was for Deco, and then in the middle, that's Deco holding the sign up for Lath. And then on the left there is Mohammed with Paloma, who's sitting in the front with David. Raise your hands, please. And The sign says, practice my Dari, Hoshmadi. Hoshmadi, okay, we're close enough. Anyways, welcome in Dari. First 90 days, a lot of transportation to not just health, but social services, work, getting the kids into school, getting donations as we need to, English lessons getting in there, some day trips and cultural orientation. I mean, there's so many other things, like I said, bank accounts, phones, I could go on and on. 6 months, working more into deployment, now into independence, always companionship, support, English lessons, and so forth. And then into the year, really starting to promote more and more independency. Catholic Charities moves away, but the power team still stays pretty much engaged with all these things. And if they do need a new apartment, we help out with that kind of stuff. More in a broader perspective, the way it works is initially, essentially they're completely dependent. I mean, it's, you name it, going to the store. They don't get money right off the bat, so you have to buy their food for them and get reimbursed, which I know is not necessarily a comfortable process, but and we don't like it either, but it's just kind of the way it goes. And that goes on for 2 or 3 months, and you move into the transition where you're like, okay, we're going to start paying some rent. I think you can make this phone call yourself. You don't need me. Paying bills, making appointments, and so forth, and that goes on for a while. And it's as big a transition for the team members because, you're used to, hey, can you help me with it? And you're like, I'm on it. And now you have to kind of go, wait a minute, I think you can do that yourself. And move forward with that, or maybe instead of me making the full phone call, you start the call, I help you, that kind of thing. And then essentially independent. The family, they request help infrequently, and it's usually complicated stuff like health insurance, with none of us understand either, so. And that's really where Emmanuel's family, they're from the Congo, that's really where they're at. They pretty much don't, we give them English lessons and certain things like that, but if we didn't show up, they'd be fine. They got jobs, they're paying their rent, and so forth. Okay. There you can see, I said we do have fun putting a puzzle together at one of our gatherings. How to be a part. There is a list of volunteer opportunities at these two, at some web page links, and also how to make a donation. And 2 links on the bottom are the League of Women Voters and No Place for Hate, and there is a handout with all that stuff on it. And lastly, yeah, that's it. We're a family, right, guys? Yeah. And that's a gathering we have just to have a meal together, gathering all our Afghan friends. And I guess that's it. Thanks. Almost it. I get to introduce Laith Al-Safar. His wife, Zainab, is here as well. They came from Iraq. He's an SIV holder, was a translator for the American forces for 10 years or so, and you can tell he was around Americans because he's used this phrase like, you know what I'm saying, and certain other military phrases that I can't repeat here. But anyway, Laith, you're on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak in this lovely meeting. My name is Laith. I came to the United States about 7 months ago, all the way from Iraq. My life over there was not safe at all, and it wasn't just because of my association with the U.S. troops in Iraq. It was not safe for all those civilians who were not involved in the corruption that we have over there. I decided to do anything that would get me and my family to America, because I've seen how Americans respect those who work hard and want nothing but a better opportunity. I first applied for my visa in 2015. It took me 3 hours to fly from Iraq to Turkey, then 9 hours to fly from Turkey to New York, and then like 30-minute fly from New York to Boston. But I'll tell you what, It's worth every minute of it. I came here like a month earlier than the time that I was supposed to be here. So things were not ready in terms of a house to live in and all the other stuff. But that was no problem because of a very generous family decided to host me in their house for like a week. They were like my second family here. I didn't feel I was away from home. I felt I am home because they were nice, very friendly, and welcoming. My parents and my whole family in Iraq feel very happy and proud of me because I made it here. And because they know that this land is the land of freedom. Also, they can't wait to get here. My immediate reaction when I arrived in Boston was a big relief because I felt like I am home. My biggest surprise about living in the United States was the things that I hear people complain about. They complain about things that we dream about over there in Iraq. Simple things like running water 24/7, electricity, nice roads, and not to mention, everybody's safe here. That's like the biggest dream of any people all over the world. This program helped me a lot by having a lot of volunteers that taught me a lot, and they are still teaching me till this day to understand how the system works here and help me getting so many things done that I would need days to talk about, and a very generous financial help. So thank you so much for your great help. I'm not exaggerating when I say the organizations and the agencies which assisted me have done a very great job, and there's nothing that could have been done better. I think they did the impossible to help me, and I'm sure they did the same thing for everybody else. Best thing that happened to me, besides a lot of other great things, is the sense of feeling that you are safe and you are no longer in a threat anymore. Right now, I work as a cashier in a store, and I'm trying to get a job at the hospital, and I also believe that I have a great opportunity here in this country to be anything I dream about and work for, because everybody has equal opportunities here. So thank you for changing my life and giving me this chance to be a part of this great nation. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Laith. Our next speaker is Mohammed Bashir. He's from Afghanistan. He worked with U.S. forces helping to house them, and he came in early November, and I'll give it to you from there.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity and giving me a chance to talk about my resettlement experience in the United States. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Steve Shrader, Ms. Diana Shrader, and my grandma, Ms. Paloma McLardy, Mr. Dave McLardy, and Macarena McLardy, and those who all helped me and support me in this in the United States. So when I get to America, I was thinking, oh, it's a big country with different culture, with different people. So I thought it's very difficult to come here and live here. So when I get to the airport, I meet a nice family. They welcome, warm welcome. So I still remember that the sign that Ms. Paloma had and my name written on that, welcome Muhammad Bilal Bashiri, and written in my language, Khoshamadi, it means welcome. So when I meet this family at the airport, so it gives me a feel that, oh, I'm in a better country, I'm in a better society. So the things that I thought that I'm going in a country that I don't know anything about the people, about the culture, or also I was thinking that if I go there, so what will happen to me? So I had a really hard time in my country. So when Afghanistan falls to Taliban and the Taliban took over the Afghanistan, so we just scared from the Taliban, and we had the experience of working with the Americans, so they were against us, and we didn't feel safe in Afghanistan, so that's why we had to leave our country as soon as possible. So on 15th August, when the Taliban took Afghanistan, It was 15 August 2021. When the Taliban took Afghanistan, so everybody is scared, everybody was distracted, and everybody wanted to leave Afghanistan, especially those who are working with Americans and also with the government of Afghanistan. So on that time, I was working with the Americans in a camp, so I felt safe to go and stay in camp. I just want to name the camp. It was the Barren Compound. So most of the people and those who have been in Afghanistan to know about the Barren Compound. So I've been in the Barren Compound, like when they took Afghanistan on 15 August, so I went to the Barren Compound. I've been for 11 days in the Barren Compound. So in the past 11 days, I didn't go home. So just I could go home to see my mom, my dad for 2 times. It was a late night, so I come back to the Barren because I was thinking it's safe for me. And also, I used to shave my beard every time. So when they get in Afghanistan, and especially in Kabul, I just left my beard. So I had a really hard time. So sometimes when I'm thinking about that time, so on 26th August, so I get a chance to get inside the airport, Kabul airport. So it was really difficult to get inside the airport. So because I had the SIV, a special immigrant visa, so I luckily get inside the airport. So I didn't see my mom, so I just been like 24 hours at the airport. After 24 hours, so I get inside the plane, so I just called my mom that I said, Mom, I'm going. So she was crying, so anyway. So I get to America. So when America, so I just want to tell that in America, when I get to America, so at the airport, when I see Miss Paloma, so they get and pick me up from the airport. So I was calling my mom to just tell her that I get to America and she doesn't need to worry about me and give her feel that I'm with a good family. So my mom was crying. I just turned on the camera. So she said that you are a lucky. And also I just turned the camera on and tried to show Miss Paloma and Miss Dave to them that she feels that I'm with a good family and she doesn't need to worry about me. She said that you are a lucky, and also they are lucky to have you a part of their family. Yeah, because she really loves me. Yeah, she was crying on that time. It was really, so, yeah, but when I get to home tomorrow that day, so I was like, wow, it's a really new life. So I really don't know what to do, where to start. So I just had number of Mr. Steve. So he's the one that we are calling every time if we face with any problem, even if we get a message and we don't know what is it. So we are calling Mr. Steve. We get a message, what is it? And we are forwarding to Mr. Steve. So I'm really grateful for the nice people of Cape Cod, the people who welcomed us, the people who just helped us and support us, not just me, all the Afghan and all the immigrants. So I'm really grateful of that. So fortunately, so right now I'm familiar with everything in America. So at the first it was difficult for me to go at the shop and buy something for myself. I was calling Mr. Steve to come and pick me and drop me, or Mr. Paloma. Yeah, but now it's easy for me to go at shop and buy something for myself and also whatever I need. And now I have luckily a good job in a hotel as a front desk agent, so I'm working there. So everything is getting easy for me. So this is all the experience that I have so far in America. So I'm really grateful for the nice people around me, for the nice people of America. I thought when I get to America from a backward country, so when I face with the people who are growing up in a country that's kind of American superpower, so they will have a racism against immigrants. So I was wrong. So they are very nice people. Thank you so much. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks, Mohammed. So our last speaker is Emmanuel Nyangi. He's from the Congo. Emmanuel and his family actually spent 14 years in a Ugandan refugee camp. So a very nice, beautiful family. Emmanuel himself is also working in a hotel, but he's also a junior in college. and really working his way through things. Man, you're on.
I don't know where to start. Because I think that everybody has just mentioned everything. Anyway, I define life as a school, the school where you learn and teach simultaneously. You learn from somebody, and the other person is going to teach you, and you're going to teach them at the same time. So I think they just said it all. But anyway, my story is not so different from theirs, but I think mine is a little bit, like personal or maybe unique in its way. When I was born, 3 years, I started living with my grandparents. My parents never wanted any kid to go in school. So they were busy because my dad was a gold miner. So it's just like, what is school? Money is everything, So there's no reason to go to school. And so my grandparents took me because my mother is the only daughter. She was born alone, no one in front, no one behind her. So I started living with them. So they had a kid at home. After I turned 10, his young brother called a rebel group to kill him. So they killed my grandfather as we were getting away, we just leave the church. We were on our way home. He was holding my hand, and they just shot him dead. I was 10 by then, and I became so traumatized. So I had to move and start living with my parents. But then one night, the same rebels came during the night and wanted to kill my mother, and wanted to kill my father, and wanted to kill me, wanted to kill everybody. That was in 2005, October. Then we fled our country. That same night from my village. And with the situation in my country, in my village, was very, very bad at that time because 1994, 1996, there was genocide in Rwanda, and so many people from Rwanda fled into my country and then formed rebel groups, and my country formed other rebel groups, and we're just fighting and fighting every day. And sometimes you sleep in your house, sometimes you don't sleep in your house. So you have a house, but you don't have it. So that was the situation. And then we left to my hometown, Bukavu, and we just felt unsafe. We left that place immediately to Uganda. So Uganda was a little bit peaceful. I wouldn't say that was peaceful, but compared to my country, I think it was a safe place. That's what I would say. So we stayed in Uganda 14 years. To become a refugee, you have to go to Ugandan government to register, and then you go to the UNHCR. So as we're living there, all the 14 years, people, other refugees would come in and leave, and they're just like, what is going on? Are they not seeing me? You know that time you sit somewhere and you just feel like you are alone in the road, or you are alone in the world, like nobody is seeing you, nobody care, nobody want to give you a hand, nobody want to help you. So it's like, it was really, really, really horrific. And so painful, the affliction could not be bearable. But after 14 years, Ellen Namataka, that she was a resettlement officer, and then realized that, most refugees are just, paying money to get resettlement. And she started fighting that. She fought fraud, and then they started helping depending on the year of arrival. And that's when I was lucky. My family were lucky. So everybody was lucky in my family. So we left, was like the flight, I think, took about 14 to 16 hours. So when I reached in New York, I was alone. And when my younger sister Fikili Wabiwa, she's the one who came first. And then when she reached here, she was calling, oh, you know what, this is really horrible. I'm just alone here. I feel lonely. I'm like, what? So you mean I should stay? Because I was the second person. I was the second person. I was just waiting my flight. I'm like, should I stay or should I, decide to go? I decided to, to board the plane, and then we landed in Amsterdam for a little bit, and then New York, Boston, and finally in Plymouth. So when I saw Stephen, I was like, really? Are there people who can actually welcome you here? I thought I was going to be alone, like, in my country, and back in Uganda, sometimes I would run away if, like, somebody's following me, because I was just like, everybody's gonna kill me. Everybody's gonna do something bad, something wrong. And I didn't feel safe. But when I reached here, I was still like a little bit traumatized, I would say. But it's not like that anymore, because Stephen made that I feel safe here. So I very much am grateful for the team and for everything that you're doing. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I believe that if you continue doing this to other people, that is a great thing that you could ever do, because I don't think that there's something you can change. I thought maybe America is gonna be, like Uganda, like my hometown, people, sometimes you're in a house and then you miss water. Like in Uganda, you can even spend 10 days without water, or even 1 month without water. What do you drink? You drink when it rains, and you just, when it's like stagnant water, it's very, very dirty, and sometimes it's smelling, but what do you do? You don't have any choice. That's the only thing that you have. You can choose when you have other alternative, or when you have 2 or 3 things. But when I write, like, life is a school, and when it comes to choices, I'm like, when it's one thing, you don't have choice. You can only choose when you have 2 plus. So here in America, people, I don't know, I'm sorry to say that they're not grateful, but you should be grateful. Or if you're not grateful so much of what you've got, maybe you should travel to Africa. Travel in my country a little bit, So life is a school, and this is a very good place, and I love it that I am here. Now I'm in college. That is the first thing that I was thinking, like, my grandfather just passed away. He's the one that was paying the school for me. Will I ever go to school again? But when I reached here, Steve told me that, yeah, you can still go to school. I go to English classes, and I got work. It was too difficult for me to understand how to use coin. I was like, what is that? Anyway, like, how much this, how much this, how much that, But now I know a quarter, I know almost everything, I am very happy. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm not a greatest professor. You are the professors too. I'm just a student. And I believe learning never ends until we die. So we'll continue learning. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you all for sharing your stories. I imagine we might have some questions in the audience. If we do, would you make your way over to the chair and the microphone? Okay. I understand we have some volunteers in the audience tonight from the Power team. Maybe someone would like to share their activities or their interactions. Sure, yeah.
So I have to say that Mohammed's Mom was right. We are lucky. We really are. Like, what a beautiful young man. All of you guys, like, I am so in awe of where you have come from and like the courage. And so we have another 4 kids in our house, like next door in an apartment. And the whole team, Steve, Diane, you know, like when we were getting it ready, you came, I forget your name, I'm sorry, but you came and helped clean, and everybody is excited to help. And I have to say, it's more blessed to give than to receive, because we have learned so much from them. Like, just sitting on the floor and eating on the floor is the best way to eat. Like, you feel like you are together. There was something, like the guys, Monowar, Fatehana, Dawood, and Ismail, they're in our house, and they are like, they're all so different. And Mohammed, they just, I don't know how to say, they're like really amazing people. And they do things together, they live very simply, like what they eat, like it makes me feel like what you both have said, like how ungrateful we become when we have so much. They eat very simple, they make their own bread, they wash their own clothes, like they don't go to the laundromat. They're like very, like just very, they don't have a lot of, and they, when they need to figure something out that is hard, they talk together. Like say, okay, auntie, they call me auntie. Auntie, we'll talk, and then we'll talk to you. And it's just like, I am learning a lot, and I'm just grateful, and I'm grateful for Steve and the team that we really work good together. Like I know when I reach my limit, I can call and say, okay, this is driving me crazy, because it's, you know, it's not easy, but it's engaging, it's real. And when we hear all these things happening in the world and we get overwhelmed, like, you know, we can do something. We cannot do everything, but there's little things that we can do, and together we can do more too. You know, like, and so I'm very grateful. I'm lucky.
Of course.
Hi, I'm Art Disloges. I'm a resident of Plymouth. Thank you for hosting this, and really, thanks for sharing your stories. I only have one remark. I remember back in 2016, 17, I was a student at Tufts University when President Trump shut down the refugee process mid-flight. Mid-flight. There were families on planes thinking they were coming here to a great future, to a new home. They had their sponsors at the airport waiting for them. And when they landed, they were turned away. It was the biggest injustice that I have ever seen. Well, it was one of the biggest injustices I've ever seen. I'm glad now we're up to 125,000 refugees, and I think there ought to be more. And that's one of the things that I'm so glad you're doing. And thanks for doing that.
Do you want to use?
Hi, I have a question. Thank you all. Your presentations were very informative, and I thank you so much for them. What I was going to ask is, what are some of the wish list that you might have for the future? A couple of you spoke about that a little bit. I know that Emmanuel is in college, so obviously I'd love to hear more about what you're studying. I know that there are some things, you know, that you really need in the future to be successful in your jobs and in your work. So if you'd like to speak about one or two things that you might, you know, is a dream for you, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, that was my question, I guess. but maybe for everybody. But anyway, I'll talk for myself. Wow, the wish for the future. Anyway, when I write, I don't believe in the future. I think I'm a student, that's right. Life is a school, and we just live and learn for that moment that we are alive. So I believe if I am to be alive tomorrow or any time in the future, which I think tomorrow is just an illusion. Since I was born, I'm now 27. I've never reached tomorrow. It's just there. Anyway, I believe in the future. In the future, let me just use the future. Is a sentence we all use. In the future is the word. As a student, I'm in college, and I'm doing my bachelor's degree in political science. I want to be a lawyer for children. I love children because as a child, the life that I underwent back in my country and the life that I saw as a children undergoing on this planet is very, very bad, horrific. So I think if I become a lawyer, I can help kids live the best life that they should live. And if you are there, I know one of the other things that I want to do is write a book. And the title maybe will be Life is a School. You know, I think before conception, we come from somewhere. I don't know if you believe in God, you believe in any power, but we come from somewhere. And then we, you know, after conception, the birth, and then the birth, we die. But during all that period, it's just, you know, learning and teaching, learning and teaching, learning and teaching. And the best thing we should do is your happiness makes my happiness. We are all students, right? So we should all make this happen. Like, I make you happy, you make me happy. When you're not happy, you know, it's just like contagious. I'll feel sad. I'll feel whatever I'm gonna feel. But when you're happy, I'll smile. If you smile, I'll smile, right? Yeah, thanks. You see, that is what I wanna do in my future. Anyway, I don't believe in the future.
So at the moment, I'm just thinking about wish, or have just one wish, to have my family, my 9-month sons with myself. This is what I'm thinking about. That's it.
Well, for now, I'm trying to get the job at the hospital. So, like, my plan is basically to make some money first, and then if I can, like, see what kind of basically job, like better jobs that they, by they I mean the hospital, can offer me, because I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Iraq, but it probably doesn't mean anything here. But, you know, I don't mind to study and get whatever I need to get to basically get a better job. So that's my plan for now. Thank you.
I just want to say a few things. Hello, everybody. My name is Diko Adan, and I'm from Somalia. I came in the United States 8 months ago, and I just want to say thank you to Mr. Steve. Like, he helped, he's number one. He's everything, really. Like, from the day one till now, anything we need, call Steve. We have to call Steve, ask Steve. So I want to thank Steve. I want to thank everybody. Like, I went back to school after 20 years. Like, I'm going and taking the program of GED now. I took my license after I came 4 months, and I finished another program of pharmacy technician, and I'm so glad. And I'm so happy to be here, actually, so happy, especially in Plymouth, in Massachusetts, because the welcoming that I got, and the, like, it's everything. Like, I feel I'm inside my family. Like, every day I get rides to my school, back and forth. And it's like sometimes 8 different people would give me rides. Like, that's huge. I'm so thankful, really. And from day one till now, thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody. Like, thank you so much. Really, really, really.
I had a question I'd like to direct at Mary. Mary, thank you so much for your detailed presentation. I'm encouraged to see that under the current administration, the quota or the limit keeps going up, and it's 125,000. But I'm dismayed to see the figures in the right-hand column that are so low compared to that. And can you give us any encouragement that those numbers will ascend to be anywhere close to the quotas? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question. If I may say that according to Department of State, where we have regular conversation among other state peers as well on a weekly basis and monthly basis, we heard from Department of State that although the ceiling of 125,000 has been set, but realistically, we're not going to be able to reach to that number. Currently, their operational budget is based on 65,000 for refugee overseas and 10,000 for SIV. So in terms of reaching to as close as 125,000 is going to take some time for processing, and it requires a lot of support from states and from volunteers, basically from everyone. So they don't think that we're going to reach close to that number in this fiscal year. That's just according to Department of State. However, they would like to process as many as possible, but that's what they inform of us. So just want to put that out to you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, thank you so much. My question is to Mary. So in terms, just following on from the gentleman, and you're scaling up, you're hoping to get to the 125,000, and it currently will be kind of capped at 65,000 according to the State Department. How do you keep the kind of the amazingness of what's happening in Plymouth and other places to replicate that? So, because we've heard eloquently from 3 guys who've had amazing stories from the generosity of the public. How do you ensure you keep that kind of spirit as you kind of continue to scale up? Because I think Plymouth, it's a town. If it's a kind of a city, you don't want to lose that kind of that consciousness, the heart of what's actually so incredible to hear. So how do you continue to eventually get up to 125,000, but keep the soul of it and keep the generosity of it?
I can just speak at the local level of Massachusetts. I cannot speak on behalf of the federal government, so I'm sorry if I cannot answer your question there. But at the local level, as you know, we are a very welcoming state, and you already heard that we're the only state, and I can assure you that the governor, lieutenant governor, and Secretary Sudders basically jointly signed the welcome letter and the welcome kit. And other states do not have this. So although it's a very small gesture to be welcoming of newcomers, we try our best here to welcome as many as we're able to. So our office have been working closely with resettlement agencies, and as you know, that besides getting the support from the state and federal, they also get the support from private donors and volunteers. So they serve all people, whether documented or undocumented, they welcome all. So we work with resettlement agency to support them in any which way we're able to. Thank you.
Good evening. Once again, I want to thank you for being here. My name is Vedna. I did introduce myself earlier, and I have 2 questions, one for Mary and then also one for the group. Question number 1, I guess, in terms of the rescinding of the Title 42, is there an expectation that there will be a higher volume of refugees coming into Massachusetts, or coming into the States, I guess?
We're waiting for some news from the Department of State and Federal Office for Refugee Resettlement regarding to how are we able to support the Ukrainian coming. That has been, I hope soon that we will get some guidance around that. But we'll continue to help welcome Afghan refugees that are coming to the Commonwealth. And we're on the second phase right now. As you saw, the number of 1,907 have been welcome here. And so on the second phase, we're looking forward for more of the Afghan friends will be coming here. And meanwhile, we have many Haitians that have been coming here going back for many years as well. So I think that we're looking at more of the Haitian, the Afghanistan refugees, and soon from Ukraine.
Okay. So that was part of the, I am a former refugee.
Can I just say a
yes.
little bit? Title 42, what really is happening there is they will come across the border and turn themselves into Border Patrol. They're asylees, not refugees. I mean, it sounds a little different. So there's no program essentially for them. And then they'll be, typically, as that type of parolee, they'll be connected to some family member in some part of the United States and paroled to go live with them until their court case comes up to adjudicate their asylum case. So it's hard to say. And it's kind of a little bit different case with Title 42 and the folks coming across the southern border.
Okay, we can have a conversation later regarding that. So I just wanted to ask just a specific question in terms of just some of the barriers that you face in terms of medical care, if anyone could explain, or do you have any barriers here?
I don't have any. I mean, besides understanding how the system works, I still don't.
Okay.
But I have people helping me, so yeah, other than that.
Citizenship won't help that.
Yeah.
No, it won't. No,
I understand. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Even I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I just want to thank you all for your stories. They were very touching and they were very emotional. But I noticed in the picture that there's children. So can you just tell us how the children are adjusting? Are they in public school? Who has children?
Yeah, I do have 2 kids. My daughter is 8 and my son is 13. And my daughter she learned a lot of English since we've been here. She didn't speak any when we got here. Yeah, she's learning fast. She's loving it.
Good.
And sometimes I tease her, be like, we're going back to Iraq. She goes like, you can take my mother and go back. I stay here. Yeah.
That's good to hear. They look
Yeah.
happy in the picture. I just
yeah.
want to make sure they're adjusting
Yeah.
well. Great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steph, and I work in mental health. Thank you so much for opening yourselves up like this to us. My question is a little bit similar to the question about barriers to medical care, but it's more about mental health. And so it might feel personal to speak about any mental health services you've experienced here, but I wonder if at least you might offer any suggestions for how mental health care providers can support you given the differences of culture you're experiencing from your own to here, including faith.
I can say that a lot of people, including myself, who come from a country like you see nothing but war for decades. Of course, you have like, some mental problems. I'm not saying like we're crazy, but like every now and then you get flashbacks, you know what I mean? But in terms like help, to be honest, I don't know like what to suggest. But, maybe talking to people, make them feel like how we felt, like we have family here, you know what I mean? Like that makes things easier when you feel safe. I mean, it takes time to recover, in my opinion, but when you feel that you have people who care about you, you definitely like recover from that and you feel like, hey, I have family here. That's the thing that I can think about. Yep.
Can I say something? Okay. Thanks. So that's a great question, but I don't think I have anything to suggest. So when I left Uganda, I was in this scenario. Somebody, like some people are just like, they don't feel grateful when you're happy. They always expect you to be sad or mad or lose, So in Uganda, most refugees undergo this situation like where they could literally try to poison you. They just want you to die so you don't go anywhere. When they know like you have a visa to Australia, to Canada, to US, to anywhere, they just want you to die. Like they don't want you to achieve your goals. So I think when I was leaving, somebody entered my room with a knife and wanted to kill me. So I called the police, but somebody in the United Nations for refugees was like, don't report them, because if you do, you have to stay until they are released from prison. So I let it go, and then I came here. I was like afraid even when I came here. So I was still traumatized in that way. But the more I spent time with Steve, with John Recker, John played with so many other people around me, I was like, wow, the world is actually a better place. I think, I don't know, if you want to do anything, you can do anything. Just be with people, listen to them, become their friend, like Steve Shrader and other people always do. Just be with them, and then you'll get to learn from them, and then you will know how to resolve their problems mentally, because trauma healing takes time. Everything is a process. And you cannot, somebody would just not say, hey, you know what, I'm traumatized, like I'm saying. Anyway, at least I did. I knew myself, but no one will ever come and say that I'm traumatized. Everybody is traumatized to a certain level. The degrees are just different, but we are all.
Well, I just want to say that refugees came with a lot of drama, a lot of PTSD, and just depression and isolation in general. And so this is why when they arrived, besides getting the health assessment for their well-being, physical, there's also the mental well-being that the primary care physician try to talk about, just to be sure that there's support for their overall well-being. Federal and state have many resources to help support the mental health area. So in particular, the Afghan refugees, Federal Office for Refugee Resettlement focuses on that, in particular for this population. So just want you to know that there are a lot of resources to support surrounding mental health issue. Thank you.
I have one maybe comment, and it's that it might be useful to have some sort of program for the teams to be able to look and see and detect, symptoms such that are really, where people are failing to cope. Let's put it that way. I'm trained in peer support for PTSD, so I know some of that stuff. But that might be a useful thing, where somebody who's supporting a person can see that this person needs help, because they're not as apt to even realize help's available.
Hi, I'm Art Lavoie. My questions are mostly for Steve and Mary. What are the obstacles we face here in Massachusetts to bringing more people in? I would imagine availability and cost of housing is an option, is an obstacle. Are there other major obstacles? Volunteer support? You know, what are the obstacles that we're faced with?
So thanks for that question, Reverend Lavoie. It's wonderful to see you. I would say I agree with you. Housing is the number one challenge here, and the cost of living in general in Massachusetts. Although we're a state with many resources and very well-known institutions, from healthcare to social services in general, that could support. But unfortunately, the cost of housing and the cost of living in Massachusetts in general could be a barrier or a deterrent for some people consider moving here, unless they have family ties. So I would say I would like to see that more of us would be more welcoming in terms of supporting them with housing, so that this way it would not be a big burden on refugee in considering to come here. And it takes a lot of volunteer to help. The refugee resettlement agencies right now, they're very overwhelmed. And as you know, that there are 6 refugee resettlement agencies, and they need many volunteers to help. Take REACT, the Refugee Immigrant Assistance Center, for example. They're located in Boston and in Worcester. They have taken in more Afghan refugees than any other agencies, and they need a lot of support because they have very limited number of case manager to help manage the large volume of the Afghan refugees that came. So I would like to say that if any one of us here is able to help volunteer to help these agencies, that would be a huge help to them. Thank you.
Yeah, and from my perspective, by far, housing's the biggest limiting factor, much more than cost of living.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up, but I think we have one more question, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ron Marabed, and I'm from Kingston. On that last point about individuals' homes, could you maybe do a little case analysis of what it would be like if a family came up and said, I have 2 rooms and a big kitchen, and how would it work for us to take a small family of an adult or 2 adults and a child or 2, and how would it actually look? What would it look like to do that, agency-wise and volunteers-wise, so that we weren't just overwhelmed? Thank you.
Although it's beyond resettlement agencies' capacity right now, because they need more volunteers to help. Certainly, just like the old days, when we did not have resettlement agencies, it was the volunteer from community members and from churches stepping up to help. At least from the time that I came as former refugees from Vietnam, way back when, we didn't have refugee resettlement agency to help. So it was the local church and their members that pull in their individual resources, to help support us. So I would say resettlement agency would like you to be their volunteer because they have training program for volunteers. They wanted to be sure that you equip yourself with resources and with knowledge of how to help, because to provide case management is ongoing and it could be overwhelming for a particular person. So hosting them in your home is one way of helping, but they would like to provide training for you so that you could do a better job at helping to welcome these newcomers. Do you want to add anything?
No, it was,
Okay.
so,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you.
It's not that hard. Okay, so this is called.
She went to the
I
hospital
believe
2
it's
days
called-
ago.
I think in Massachusetts, like if you have, we had 3 children, they grown up, our house is bigger than what we needed. So there's in Massachusetts, I think it's called ADU. And so you can make your house, cut your house, cut a little piece, and then you can put a kitchen and a bathroom and separate, so we don't need that much space. So it can be done, and the volunteers, if you just step up, volunteers will happen. Like people will come up, there's Facebook, or there's, like the initial connection was with Steve. I just call him and say, I want to do this, and I knew I wanted to do it, but it grows, and someone has said, how can we keep this momentum? It's like by doing it, we keep the momentum. By, inviting other people to do that. There's people in Cape Cod live in huge houses. One person with 5 bathrooms, why do you don't have time to go to all of them. So it can be done.
Okay, so I guess the message is, if you're ready to volunteer or you would like more information, you can talk to Mary and Steve. We have literature available from the League of Voters, the League of Women Voters, and Plymouth No Place for Hate. So if you wanted to join their membership as well, I'm sure that would be much welcome. So once again, thanks again to the panelists.
This is, thank you to each and
It's-
every person that participated tonight. One of our league members made his little plant for you, and it says, bloom where you are planted. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a safe night. Thank you.